Well, it is an absolutely beautiful day north of Oshawa, Ontario, and I'm in a bright red 1995 Dodge Ram. And you might not know it, but this truck actually created the blueprint for pretty much every modern pickup truck that has come out since. This is an incredibly important vehicle for Dodge, and you could say without exaggerating that this single truck saved the Dodge pickup truck program. So let's start it, go for a drive, and I will explain. Fuel injection, so you just turn the key. V8 comes to life. And because it's a sunny day out, I can grab my sunglasses from the overhead console, throw it in drive, there it is, and we'll talk about the pickle Dodge was in when this came out. So in the early 1990s, Dodge was in a pickle. The only pickup truck that they had, full-size pickup trucks, not talking about mini trucks today, the only full-size pickup truck they had on offer was, of course, the Ram. And it was absolutely ancient. It debuted for the 1972 model year. It is an early 1970s design. And compared to the competitors at Chevrolet and Ford, it was woefully outdated and, unsurprisingly trailed those two in sales by quite a lot. Something had to be done. So Dodge embarked on an ambitious job to design a next generation Ram, but their targets and their parameters were different than most trucks of the time. They focused more on designing a truck that would be comfortable, spacious, refined, having more interior amenities than usual, and having a car-like interior with truck-like functionality. So they put 4 million development miles on these trucks. They were working them out. They took a ton of time to make them. They actually had 400 different data points that the new truck had to hit. The only problem was, midway through development, Mr. Bob Lutz walks into the room and said, quote, "This truck looks like everybody else's truck." Apparently the styling was very bland, very derivative. And while the truck itself was quite good, Lutz recalled it for a styling workover, which actually delayed the launch of the truck by about 2 years. Now, the styling at the time was a big gamble. Nothing else looked like this. In fact, the styling was inspired by old semi-trucks, big rigs, and also classic 1950s trucks that have that raised hood kind of profile. Things like the mid-50s Studebaker pickup truck and also the classic Dodge Power Wagon. It was a big gamble. But when this thing debuted at the 1993 Detroit Auto Show, it was almost an instant success. To put this into perspective, at the time, Dodge was selling about 98,000 of their antiquated Rams per year. Their sales target with this truck was to, if they were optimistic, their best case scenario, they were hoping to sell 160,000 of these per year. When this truck was made in 1995, they sold over 400,000. And in its best year, they sold 480,000 of these. It smashed all their expectations. It became a huge commercial success. And while it was helped by TV appearances and Walker Texas Ranger, Chuck Norris drove this truck. It was also the Indianapolis 500 Pace truck in 1996. What was the third one? And it also had a starring role in the Twister movie. So those star appearances probably helped sales, but why was this truck such a big deal? Why was it so revolutionary? Well, if you look at that wide camera back there, you can kind of see why. It's the cab. The cab is the major innovation on this generation of Ram truck. It is enormous inside. There's so much room. When it debuted, it had 5 inches more hip room than the comparative Chevy truck of the time. 5 inches. In fact, the interior is so spacious that during development, Dodge considered adding a 4th seat belt to bench seat models because there was room. They ended up not doing that, but this is still a 3 abreast seating situation. I can pull up this console here, and there is a center seat there if I would like to. So the cab was, at the time, the largest ever fitted to any pickup truck in terms of single cab dimensions. The truck itself was considered enormous for the time. Period reviews cannot get over the scale and the size of this truck. Like I said, 5 inches more hip room than Chevrolet and 3 inches more hip room than Ford. The width of the cab was the big headline feature. But it wasn't just the size of the cab that was a really new, fresh idea. It was also how they designed it. The idea of the interior of this truck from designer Trevor Reed was to have a car-like appearance with truck-like functionality. And the functionality here is almost unparalleled. Even today, cars are not this functional. Like, look at my climate controls. I have these big knobs here. I can adjust where the vents are gonna come from. I can adjust my temperature, my fan speed, it's all right there. My stereo controls. One of the interesting things on this truck is the location of the cup holders, which is way up high on the dash. And apparently that was because Dodge, during development, was looking at how buyers customized their trucks. At the time, one of the popular modifications people would do was to put clip-on cup holders at the top of the dash. It looks kind of shaky, but it does really, really work. But the other thing was the amount of in-cab storage. For the first time kind of ever in a pickup truck, Dodge went out of their way to make sure that there were cubbies absolutely everywhere. There's two in the doors down low. There's a cubby in the dashboard over on that side. There's a tray above that. There's an overhead console thing for sunglasses on certain models. And behind the seats is actually a really cool modular storage area. You could buy nets and trays and all kinds of different accessories from Dodge back in the day. And right now you can kind of see, like, they're used to hold zip ties, jumper cables, gloves, all the stuff you might need. It's very configurable because they made this cab so large, even though it's a single cab. And the room in this cab is just crazy. It's actually the exact same width. This truck in general has the same width as the recently discontinued Ram Classic, which is a very modern truck. In fact, even though critics of the time said that this thing was enormous, it's so huge, how could you drive something so big? This 1995 Ram is just 2 inches wider than a brand new Tacoma. So things have really come around. You might have also noticed from some of the B-roll shots, and you might have gotten the impression so far, that this truck is in really nice condition. It was actually loaned to me for the day from my friend and colleague at driving.ca, Jill McIntosh. And she bought this brand new in 1995. She actually wanted to buy one the second it came out in 1994, but there was so much demand for these trucks, she literally could not get an order in for almost a year. And she special ordered this truck exactly how you see it. The red paint, single cab, V8, two-wheel drive, everything is exactly how she wanted it, including the power seat, because her and her husband have quite a height difference, and so she wanted the power seat to be able to easily move the seat back and forth so that both of them can drive it. But since 1995, and to this day, this is her only real car. She has a bunch of cool classic cars, but this is what she uses to get around. It's got quite a lot of miles on it. 260,000 kilometers is what I'm seeing on the gauge. That's about 162,000 miles. And in that time, it has needed basically nothing other than mechanical routine maintenance. Nothing has been replaced mechanically on this truck that isn't what I would consider a wear item. That being said, it has taken constant work from her and her amazing husband Fred to keep the body on this truck looking as good as it does. And in fact, this entire truck has been repainted once before. And during that repaint, it lost the Dodge sticker it would have had on the back. But it did not lose the lower rocker stripes that you would have gotten from an SLT Laramie because she ordered those deleted. She liked the look without, and this is actually a fully loaded truck. If you can imagine, the SLT Laramie was the top of the line and cloth seats. That's certainly different today. But this has been her actual everyday vehicle for a very long time, and I'm very thankful to Jill and her husband Fred for letting me have a go in it today. And we get a chance to drive it to experience what trucks were like in 1995, which was, I mean, this truck is only a couple years newer than me, but the biggest difference is the visibility. Driving a new truck today, there's nowhere near this amount of good visibility all around the truck. I can see down in front of the truck, I can shoulder check with ease. I have these giant windows. The visibility is so much better in this truck than it is in any modern truck. That is the biggest area that new trucks, I think, have fallen behind. That being said, it drives lighter than a modern truck. It probably is quite a bit lighter, but in terms of steering input, how it handles, I mean, it's obviously no sports car, but it just drives like a lighter vehicle. Taking it around this turn here, and like I said, no sports car, but it's just a great thing to drive. It drives really nicely. For the time, the ride and handling of this truck was very refined. almost passenger car-like for the time. In fact, this truck with a 5.2 liter V8 had a 0 to 60 time of 8.7 seconds and a top speed of 113 miles an hour. That's pretty quick for 1995, considering that this is an actual truck. It's not a sport model. It's not even the optional V8, the 360. This is the 318, 0 to 60 in under 9 seconds. And today, it just drives great. I do notice that it's not as peppy as the trucks we get today, but I don't need more. And this is Jill's personal daily driver, so I'm not going to be romping on it anyways. The other interesting thing I've noticed is that according to the factory sticker, the window sticker on this car, it was officially rated at about 17 miles per gallon city and 23 on the highway. This is a two-wheel drive, single cab, long bed truck. However, that mileage is about the same as if you ordered a brand new V8 four-wheel drive truck with a short bed, how most people order their trucks today. The mileage hasn't actually changed that much on pickup trucks. Of course, they're much heavier, they make a lot more power, they tow a lot more, blah, blah, blah. But I found it interesting that this truck does 23 highway miles per gallon, and there's not a lot of full-size trucks that can do that. And of course, now we gotta talk about the permutations, and of course, it's a pickup truck in all the different forms. So when this truck was new, of course, it's a truck. You could have had it any which way. These came in two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, single cab, extended cab, regular bed, long bed, and of course also the different carrying capabilities. You could add a half ton, a 3/4 ton, a 1 ton, and on and on and on. There were a ton of engines offered with this truck. The base engine was a 3.9 liter V6. Nobody cares about that. This truck has a 5.2 liter V8, which is a 318 Magnum for us old engine lovers. Basically, it's a Chrysler small block that's been updated for the modern era. And this engine makes 220 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque. You could have stepped up to a 5.9 liter V8, which, a little bit larger, a little bit more power, a little bit more torque, and it's marginally quicker, but Jill didn't need the extra power, and I don't blame her. And then we also had engines that were reserved for the 3/4 ton and up trucks, which would be the 2500, 3500, and onwards. And those are pretty cool because this was the first pickup truck to ever offer a factory V10. Of course, the famous 8 liter V10, a variant of which was powering the Viper. That's pretty cool. But the best engine that these ever came with is, of course, the greatest diesel of all time, the Cummins 5.9 12 valve. Made 160 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque, actually smaller power and torque numbers than the V10. However, it's possibly one of the greatest engines ever made, and assuredly the greatest diesel engine ever made. But anyways, this is a half-ton truck. I'm gonna try and focus on the half-ton stuff. But suffice to say, this generation of Ram came with a bunch of engines, and aside from the V6, basically every single one was a legend. Great engines in this truck. And you also could have gotten any one of these with a 5-speed manual if you wanted. This one is a 4-speed automatic on the column. The Dodge truck program was in such dire straits. They were so far behind Ford and Chevrolet at the time that if this truck didn't land, that big gamble they took on styling didn't work, it would have really sunk them. They would have had a long, hard time to crawl back from that. In my opinion, this truck and its success basically saved the Ram truck program. And it kind of forged the blueprint for what modern pickup truck consumers actually want. For better or worse, this truck predicted and created the blueprint for the modern pickup. What I mean by that is that this truck was focused largely on civilian comforts, on having a spacious interior that's well trimmed, easy to use, car-like in its appearance and almost in its functionality. They focused on making the ride comfortable. They focused on making it a usable car just to drive around in. And that is a huge focus of modern pickup trucks. They are really designed for suburban use primarily, and some people do use them for work. But before this Ram came out, it was kind of the other way around. You bought a truck to work and a few people drove to work in them. Now, I love driving classic cars and trucks like this Dodge Ram, and I hope that you enjoy watching videos about them. To help me make more of these videos, it really does help me out if you hit the subscribe button, if you leave a comment, and all that good stuff. And if you have a vehicle that you'd like to see featured on the channel, please reach out to me at classiccarsandclayton@gmail.com. So, was it all gravy? Was it a 100% successful vehicle? Well, in retrospect, no, not entirely. The largest flaw with these trucks, and the biggest reason why you probably haven't seen a lot of these around, is rust. They had a big issue with rust almost from new. I mean, it's getting up in years, this truck. I mean, I'm saying that about myself too. But compared to other trucks of the time, these have a problem with rust. They just go fast into their trucks, and to keep this truck as nice as it is has been a lot of work for Jill and Fred. They oil sprayed it from new. They keep after the maintenance of this truck, and it still needed to be repainted. And if you look in certain places, it still has rust bubbling up here and there. There's also the famously crunchy dashboards. This one is in really good shape, but even this one has a crack right here and over there on the middle of the dashboard as well. And they are known to have some faulty wiring here and there. However, as Jill's truck can show us, if you maintain something, it will last. This truck drives great, even considering its age and its mileage. This is not a low mile vehicle, 160,000 miles on this one. So should you buy one? I mean, honestly, if you can find one in decent shape, yeah, it's a great daily driver truck. Especially when you consider the star power of this generation of Ram. I mean, Chuck Norris drove one. It was in Twister. It was an Indy pace car. A lot of star power here in this Ram. So if you like this vibe and you can find a clean one, I would go for it. But like finding a clean 1500 Ram that's not a heavy duty, that's not a 4x4 or a diesel is gonna be tough. But I think that this generation of Ram leaves a huge legacy. One that I'm not entirely in love with, because I do think personally it's kind of dumb to drive giant 6,000 pound vehicles as commuters, and this truck arguably started that trend. That said, it basically saved the Dodge truck program, and it created the blueprint for the trucks we have today. It's impossible to ignore its legacy. And that's my review of the 1995 Dodge Ram. Thanks so much for watching, and if you want to see my review of another 1990s Mopar product, check out my review of the Plymouth Prowler. Slightly different driving experience. Thanks for watching. Okay, that's in-car done. Good job, lads.